One More have recently entered the now exploding open-ear market with their new Fit line of earbuds, which consists of two models, the premium S50 and the more affordable S30. And while I'm going to do a comparison video with some of the best budget open-ears featuring the S30, in today's video I'm going to focus on the top of the line S50, and that's simply because I believe it deserves all the attention it can get. And the first thing that makes the S50 stand out from the open-ear crowd is these silicone ear tip-like thingies, or sound loops as One More like to call them. You can find 4 sets of these in the box, all in different sizes. And they are worth playing around with, as these sound loops act like some sort of an acoustic spacer that do not only help directing the sound into your ear canals, but they also help with the fit of the buds. And that fit with the right tips is very snug and secure. It's absolutely safe to use them on a bike thanks to their open-ear nature and their secure fit. They are comfy enough too, because the ear hooks do not interfere with the use of bike helmets and sunglasses, or at least they worked perfectly fine with my own cycling gear. Running outside is another application where the uncompromised situational awareness and the tight ear hooks can come in handy. But in fairness, that tightness can get a little too much. The ear hooks are flexible enough so you might not even notice it on your ears, but I can feel the tiniest bit of pressure at the back of my ears at times. To put it in context, when it comes to long-term comfort, I use the Holodance OWS Mark II as a reference, and while the S50s are a step or two behind the class-leading Holodance in that regard, they can easily beat the Clear Arc 2, and I would rate them roughly the same as the Shox Open Fit. Onto the build quality, the S50s are not as robust as the Clear Arc 2, but they are much sturdier than the somewhat flimsy Shox Open Fit. And their weight of 8.9 grams each sits somewhere in the middle too. A touch heavier than the Shox and much lighter than either the Arc 2 or the Holodance. And the same applies to the carry case. It's medium-sized and fairly easily pocketable. There is a springy hinge which opens and closes the lid firmly, giving you easy access to the earbuds. And the S50 comes with a nice little carry pouch which can protect the battery case from getting scrape marks when carried around in a messy gym bag all the time. And speaking of gym bags, reminds me to also tell you that the One More earbuds are rated as IPX7 waterproof, which makes them not only completely sweat and rain resistant, but it also makes it safe to rinse the earbuds under tap water after a workout. And before we move on, here's a quick disclaimer. I got the One More S50 from the manufacturer for this test, but I'm not getting paid for making this review, nor did I give preview privileges to anyone, so all you can hear is my honest and unfiltered opinion. Now, onto the battery life. The earbuds can last up to 11 hours on a single charge, with a total playtime of 38 hours including the case. The similarly priced Holodance OWS 2 can do 19 hours on one charge, but you don't get batteries inside the case for your money, so that's their total playtime too. Then there is the Clear Arc 2 for just a bit more money, which can deliver 8 hours on a single charge and 35 hours in total, while the Shox can do 7 and 28 respectively. So we can say that in total use time the One More wins, and it's only the OWS 2 that can beat it in terms of single charge battery life. It's impressive, but that's not all. Out of all these earbuds, it's only the One More that can be charged wirelessly, as for whatever reason, no other manufacturer has provided us with a case yet that would be compatible with the Qi wireless charging standard. It might be the least of your problems, but for some it could be a deal breaker. The 5 minutes quick charge, which yields an extra 2 hours of use, is really just icing on the cake. As far as connectivity, the S50 comes with a Bluetooth 5.3 chip on board, which can provide us with a solid signal with no connection issues of any kind. In the app you can enable multi-device connection, aka multi-point use. And while that comes in handy in a work environment, in the app you can also enable the low latency game mode, which you probably want to activate only after leaving the office, if you know what I mean. Well, if you get caught, don't say I did not warn you. But joking aside, multipoint works well across all platforms, and the switch is handled automatically when a phone call comes in. However, you will have to pause playback on the first device manually before switching over to the other source device of yours when listening to music or watching videos. And the switch itself can take up to like 5 to 6 seconds, so keep that in mind. The game mode brings latency down to around 100 milliseconds, which is supposed to be low enough for most enthusiast gamers out there. You can use each earbud on its own, as single bud mode is also supported, but what's not on the menu is any high-resolution audio codec. Only SBC and AAC are on offer, but if we have a quick look at the competition, we can see that most manufacturers don't bother with adding aptX or LDAC to their top-of-the-line open earbuds either, as the Arc 2 is the only one that supports aptX lossless and Bluetooth LE audio. And while multipoint and single bud mode are common features amongst these top players, it's only the One More app that gives you a switchable low latency mode. And now let me give you a quick audio sample from the built-in microphones on the One More Fit S50. So this is the audio quality you can expect when making a phone call in a quiet environment. And here's another audio sample so you can have a better understanding of what to expect from the microphones on the S50 when you are out and about. And onto the Achilles heel of the One More S50, let's talk about the controls. We get a touch-sensitive panel in each earbud, and we also get custom settings for the controls in the One More smartphone app. The panels register my taps accurately, and the reaction times are quick enough too, but we only get to use double tap and triple tap, as there is no single tap nor there is tap and hold. And even though you can assign any functionality to each of the tapping actions individually on each side, it simply doesn't give you access to all the control functions at the same time, as the math simply doesn't add up. 4 actions across the 2 buds to handle 6 functions. Play, pause, track forward and backward, volume up and down, and voice assistant activation. But at least you can choose freely which functions to use and which ones to ignore. Adding tap and hold would sort this out easily, and I simply don't understand why there is no such option in the app. The presence of smart sensors and autoplay pause can somewhat make up for the lacking controls, and I cannot recall any major competitor having this feature, so it's unique in the open-ear segment. And you can also customize the behavior of the smart sensors in the app. And speaking of the app, One More have given us a great set of features, including 12 EQ presets, a low latency switch, firmware upgrades, a quick guide, and a multi-point switch. For those who love ASMR, there are some soothing sounds such as fire, rain, thunderstorm, or breeze, but what I don't understand is why each of these sound samples keep repeating themselves in couple of second-long loops, killing the whole idea of relaxing, soothing sounds. And again, if you look at the competition, there are a few things missing from the app. For example, there is the option to switch manually between previously connected devices in both the HoloDance and the Shocks app, which can prove to be useful in case you deal with multiple source devices on the daily. Or we could play around with some manual EQ settings instead of being limited to presets. Most other apps can do that, such as the Clear Plus from Clear Audio. I'm not saying that One More should have loaded their app with gimmicky features, such as Clear Audio did when they added motion controls, a step counter, or an anti-loss reminder to the Arc 2, but the lacking controls is truly a sore point, as most rivals can do better in that regard. Not Shocks, because the Open Fit have the same limitations as the S50, but both the OWS2 and the Arc 2 can offer you more comprehensive touch control settings. Other than that, the app has a good bunch of features. It also works well on both iOS and Android, and of course there are the smart sensors, which you won't find on any other buds in this class. And onto the sound quality, the first thought that popped in my mind when I started using these One More open ears is how clean and transparent their sound was. We don't get a thunderous, skull-rattling bass, at least not with the default studio preset. You will need the bass booster, the deep, or the hip-hop setting if you want to get a more powerful bottom end. But out of the box, the bass is not up to the task when it comes to delivering a hefty punch, especially with more demanding modern genres such as R&B or EDM. That said, from the mid-bass up, the S50 can compete with many in-ear buds in terms of overall tonality, resolution, and clarity. My favorites are the mids that are pushed forward in the mix, making both male and female vocals and acoustic instruments shine. And that character makes the S50 perfect for listening to podcasts on the go, as speech intelligibility is top of the class. The highs have plenty energy too, the diamond-like carbon drivers can serve up plenty micro detail, and the extension towards the top end is also excellent. The result is a clean and open sound with precise imaging and a wide and airy sound stage with good separation. Compared to the openness we get here, both the OWS2 and the Clear Arc 2 sound a bit boxy. And while the S50 cannot go as deep as the Shox Open Fit, their mid-range is pretty much on par with what I consider to be the best in the business. And in contrast to the deep but distorted bass of the Open Fit, there is not a hint of discoloration or distortion in the sound of the S50, even at full volume. Speaking of which, the S50 gets nowhere near as loud as the Arc 2, but it's more or less on par with the OWS2 and the Shox in that regard. And while I'm not sure if the sound loops have anything to do with that, there is slightly less of a sound leakage coming from the One More speakers than from any of the other three at similar volume levels. Overall, what you get is a very enjoyable and sophisticated sound signature, as long as you are happy with the subpar bass extension. And to conclude this review, I would say that while One More is a bit late to the open-air game, they at least had a chance to see and learn from others' mistakes. And I mean the addition of wireless charging, the smart sensors, and the low latency game mode, all of which are missing from the spec sheet of their main competitors. The sheer amount of features the smartphone app has to offer is excellent too, and that includes multipoint, which can prove to be essential in day-to-day use. What I don't like that much about the S50 is that it comes up short as far as the touch controls and the long-term comfort are concerned. Fortunately, it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with either the build quality or the fit of the buds, because both are first class, and we also get an IPX7 rating, which is again class leading. And in many ways, such is the sound quality and the battery performance. In short, the S50s are well-built, snug-fitting, weather-proofed, true premium sports earbuds, which can offer many advantages over the competition, which costs about the same or even more money. As of writing this review, the S50 costs only $120, but even at their original launch price of $150, these buds are cheaper than most of their direct competitors. So in terms of pure value, you can hardly get anything better in this segment of the open earbuds market. And that was my take on the One More Fit S50. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. For one, there is my upcoming open earbuds comparison, which will feature the One More Fit S30 amongst other more affordable open ear style buds. So stay tuned for that, but this is it for today. Thanks for watching, hope to see you all in the next one.